Hey everybody, my name is Matt, and today I wanted to talk about Anthropic reducing the amount of usage that users have at peak hours. Now, if you didn't know, Anthropic recently said 2 weeks ago that we're doubling our usage outside of peak hours. Everybody was really happy about this. I was happy, I was getting more usage out of my Claude code. But then Praneet, about a week ago, said, Anthropic just pulled the oldest trick in SaaS pricing. I pay $200 a month for a Claude Max. My limits have been noticeably worse this week. And this was, I believe, this week. Yeah, March 15th. Now they announced 2x off peak usage for 2 weeks. Sounds generous, but here's what actually happens. Limits quietly drop. A temporary 2x makes the reduced limit feel normal. The promo ends, and you're left at a baseline lower than when you started. You just didn't notice a downgrade because the 2x absorbed the transition. These AI plans are massively subsidized. The raw compute behind a heavy user costs multiples of the subscription price. Every move like this is the subsidy quietly correcting. Very sneaky, Anthropic. And, Tariq came back, clapping back with a, nah, it's just a bonus 2 times. It's just a 2x bonus. It's not that deep. And turns out, Tariq coming back on March 26th, yesterday, he says, to manage growing demand for Claude, we're adjusting our 5-hour session limits for free, pro, and max subs during peak hours. Your weekly limits remain unchanged. During weekdays between 5 a.m. to 11, you'll move through your 5-hour session limits faster than before. So, did Anthropic go back on their word and did they rug pull everybody? Well, yes and no. I think the issue of what happened was essentially Tariq saying, nah, bro, it's not that deep, and then going back and confirming what Praneet said. Listen, I'm not going to blame Claude for what they did to reduce the amount of usage during peak hours. They're not technically reducing the rate limits or saying that you can't, like the equation of the subsidy, the $200 a month for, I don't know, $5,000 of like credits of usage. This hasn't changed. It's just the time in which you can access this has changed, right? And so that's bad because, I personally use Claude during the weekday. I don't use it at 3 a.m. at the random morning. But during weekdays, 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. PT, 1 p.m., during these times, you'll move through your 5-hour session limits faster. And a lot of people have been complaining, saying, I just instantly went through my session during my working hours. I wasn't able to finish my session. And like a lot of people are upset. And that makes sense. Another thing, too, is that, hey, I don't know what's going on with Claude right now, but the platform is in a really bad state. You can see that Claude just lost its 99% uptime. Now it's at 98. Claude Code is having issues, and I think this is actually outdated. If we check this right now, also shout out to Lane from boot.dev. He's awesome. It looks like 98.95% down. Looks like they have a postmortem about something happening with Claude Opus 4.6, networking performance degradation within their infrastructure that disrupted communication between components of our serving stack. We resolved the incident by migrating the affected workloads to healthy infrastructure, restoring normal service by this time. So it was just bad timing on everybody's part when it came to this error. And again, you have a little bit of drama brewing here. This guy, I believe he works at Codex. He was saying, thank you to Tariq for essentially making it so that people were going to cancel their Codex subscriptions. And if we actually scroll back and scroll Twitter, we see a lot of people saying, oh, I just canceled my $200 a month subscription. Oh, let's see. Everyone's expectations are so out of whack. It's kind of embarrassing to get this mad. I'd be like, damn, okay, I'll cancel. Were you guys depending on the ship to keep your grandma alive? I don't get it. This guy's funny. I like this guy's tweets. But yeah, some people are saying this is an overreaction. Some people are saying that, this is something that's like ruining everything and patience wearing thing, blah, blah, blah. I think Claude is doing something that no company has kind of ever done before. And the amount of usage that we're pumping into Claude Code, the amount of infrastructure that is needed to support that is kind of genuinely bonkers. Like I really want you to think about how many resources need to be dedicated in order to keep something like Claude running. The amount of compute, the amount of money, the amount of engineers, it's not a easy task. And you can say like, sure, Google's doing it, all this stuff. Claude is a pretty brand new company, right? Anthropic's a pretty new company. Obviously, what whatever his name is, Tariq said, that is kind of inexcusable because he kind of went back on his word a little bit, or was a little bit more pompous than he should have been. But at the end of the day, right, like I think we can give some credit to Anthropic and say that yeah, they're probably dealing with some stuff that they have never experienced before. And as somebody who doesn't subscribe to the $200 per month tier, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I'm not like feeling that burn. Like I could imagine, $200 a month is pretty expensive. That's like what, 22,400 per year. Obviously, I would be upset if I wasn't getting what I paid for. But like, remember the way that subsidization works is that you're paying $200 for about $5,000 of compute. This equation will not last forever. And the thing that Praneet said, this being a classic SaaS playbook is actually true, right? It's not even classic SaaS, it's just classic business in general. If you have a company or somebody who's funding you to create a product that's so much cheaper than the competition, or maybe even so much better, you just have so much resources, so much better, you can essentially hook people to use your product for a really long time at a lower price. Or you can say, like, oh yeah, my product's the best, like, we're going to make it so that it's free for everybody forever. And then everybody's like, oh, great, let me start using this, right? Let's say it's like Photoshop or something like that, right? Everybody uses the tool now. Like, it's so awesome. But eventually, money gets tight. Companies are like, okay, we need to extract more money because inflation keeps going up and, we can't really do anything to improve the tool. So what we'll do is we'll just either buy out the competition or we'll just make our products that much more difficult to actually unsubscribe from and make it so that, everybody using our product has to like stay within this suite of tools. And this is something that I know companies like Microsoft did back in the day, anti-competitive stuff. And it's also something that I guess something like Walmart or these big retail chains did with mom and pop, right? It's like you create something that's so good that and so cheap because you have like all these resources and you have all this money, and you essentially just undercut all other competition until you get to the point where you can start raising the prices back, and then you just like captured the entirety of the market. And now, while I don't know if Anthropic is thinking on this level, they probably are because they got some smart people over there. I also believe that yeah, this was coming, right? Subsidization of the AI market has always been a thing. The amount of money that we pay for the amount of compute we get does not make any sense at all, and it's going to end one day. And that's why I'm a champion of, owning your own hardware, running your own LLMs on your actual like graphics cards and things like that, and just realizing that the future is renting, right? So we're pretty much doing right now with LLMs and everything like that is we are renting the ability to use the hardware and the the research and everything like that Anthropic essentially created, right? This stuff doesn't come out of thin air. A lot of people said to me, "Oh, I thought AI was free. Oh, I thought AI was free." No, AI is not free. This is the playbook, right? It's like you want people to be so willing and so like wanting and needing to try it that they'll try it, they'll rely on it, they'll always need it, and then essentially they'll have to pay the price no matter what, right? So if that $200 tier becomes $500, I'm sure a lot of people will cancel, but I'm also sure that a lot of people will continue paying because, again, 500 is still less than 5,000. So if they did just a straight up transaction, which, people who use APIs, like Theo, who made a video about this a little bit ago, they have to pay the full price. And so basically the guys who are using the APIs are actually going through the straight up, I'm just working with Anthropic. They are the ones footing the bill for us. And this, again, won't last forever. So if you're somebody who wants to get started with AI tools or just like learning how these things work, it's really important that you try now because, again, this equation will not last forever. I mean, you can see it right now with anti-gravity reducing the amount of limits that you have to use AI tools. And I'm pretty sure, we have companies like OpenAI saying they're going to start introducing ads. Eventually, it's going to be only the people who can afford it can use the best AI tools. I'm certain that they'll like save some compute for like other users or, free to play users. But the issue is it's like, hey, if you have a group of people, right? One of them pays you literally, I don't know, how much, let's say that a enterprise or something like that uses for AI. Let's say that like a company that spends $10,000 per day for their software engineers to use AI tools. Would you rather be making the sort of money over direct API usage over here? Or would you rather get the person who pays $20 a day, but uses the same amount of resources that this $10,000 or this company uses, right? this subscription, this trial, this, I know this isn't a good graphic, but this subscription, this trial, it's a bad equation for Anthropic. And when people ask, like, oh, how does companies like Uber, companies like Waymo, companies like Lyft, how do they operate in the red so much? Well, it's like the bet that essentially this equation will work out in the end. That people will become so reliant on this one system that they'll be forced to use it for the rest of their lives. And then essentially the market doesn't become like something that is shared. It's the market that they just completely own. I think, companies like Google and companies that essentially have monopolies on advertisements are good examples of this. And I talked about Walmart before. Again, like we cannot rely, or a lot of people can't rely on the internet without Google, because how else are you supposed to search things? But, there's DuckDuckGo, there's other search engines, but, it's what comes pre-installed on iPhones. It's what comes pre-installed on Safari. It's just the way things work. And AI is no different. I'm certain that, in the future, we're definitely going to be all crying in pain because of how much we're paying for our AI bills, right? Everything gets more expensive, energy gets more expensive, and somebody's got to foot the bill. And that is usually us as consumers, not the people who are creating the software and the technology. So that's my take on this. I do think at the end of the day, people quitting their subscriptions, that's fine as well. Trying out Codex is not a bad thing either, because you want to make sure there's some sort of competition. But at the end of the day, yeah, what else did you expect? I actually, you know what? I could say that I expected different from Anthropic, them having some sort of maybe publication saying like, hey, this is the amount of usage that we have. This is like how we're struggling. This is how we're trying to scale. But, I think at the end of the day, like, yeah, it's tough for them to run this as a business. And in general, like, yeah, it's tough to keep the trust with an AI company. So you know what? I'm gonna say for today, because Claude's been having so many issues, why don't you give Codex a shot? Just for the sake of it and just for fun. All right. My name is Matt. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a nice day. Peace.